certainly the better team, and there will be no excuse coming up tonight if Inter Miami doesn't beat Montreal. 2-0, 3-0. Now, listen, 3 points is 3 points. I understand that, but I want to see Inter Miami get back to the form we saw early on in the season when they were beating good opponents. And as I've already mentioned, this is not a good opponent. Win big tonight. We'll get into that game against Montreal coming up here later on. But, folks, as we always start the show, it's time to do a little Messi Mania with our good friends at PNC.
It's time for a little Messi Mania on Pink Smoke, presented by PNC Bank. The latest match results, highlights, and everything Messi starts now. Brought to you by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. Learn more at PNC.com. PNC Bank, National Association member FDIC.
Putting one behind the keeper takes more than talent. Sure, the pros make it look easy, but there's a whole lot of boring work behind it. Hours of drills, scrimmages, and dedication to craft that ultimately pay off in a brilliant goal-scoring move. PNC Bank knows that it's, the same with money. There's no shortcuts. That's why they take a smart, steady, and boring approach. So you can make brilliant money moves that help you score your own goals. And PNC Bank makes it easy and convenient to manage your money when and where it works for you, including the new branch locations opening across Miami. See how keeping your money boring can be the brilliant move for you. Visit PNC.com/brilliantly boring. That is PNC.com/brilliantly boring. PNC Bank, proud banking sponsor of Inter Miami CF radio broadcasts at Brilliantly Boring since 1865. The PNC Financial Service Group, Inc., all rights reserved, member FDIC. Well, folks, Messi Mania, where we go through the recent game for Inter Miami, the recent news, and I'll tell you what, there was a lot of Messi Mania in this game to the point where Lionel Messi has been honored as part of the Team of the Match Week. Now, for those of you who don't know, Team of the Match Week, it's the best players at each position throughout the MLS. And Inter Miami has had a plethora of players make this list already this year. Match week 1, Lionel Messi. Match week 2, Telesco Segovia and Luis Suarez. If you remember, that was the Houston game where Luis Suarez had 3 assists and Telesco Segovia had a brace in the first half. Match week 3, Noah Allen, Yannick Bright, Tadio Allende. Lionel Messi in 4 and 6. Oscar Ustari, match week 8. Seems like a year ago after how bad our guy Oscar has played. We'll get more into that later on. Match day 9, Marcelo Weigant and Benjamin Kremoski. Match day 11, Marcelo Weigant, so Cello, as we call him, who a lot of fans have gotten tired of lately and want more Ian Frey. Cello has made the match day honorees twice, week 11 and week 13, and then Lionel Messi last week. So Messi, who had a brilliant game against Philadelphia in a 3-3 draw, he had that cracker of a goal, free kick goal from right outside the box, went upper 90, obviously left foot. Messi's left-footed. We'll hear that in a second. But as I mentioned, Messi Mania, where we go through all the highlights and everything Inter Miami and Messi related. Let's get into the highlights. Our good friend Ken Levica is the voice of Inter Miami. We will be sending it to Ken around 7:38, 7:39 when Inter Miami gets that ball rolling in South Florida. But this fixture in Philadelphia did not start Inter Miami's way. It was actually 2-0 right before halftime. Let's take a listen to Sullivan, who got in the back of the net first in the game for Philadelphia. Sullivan, by the way, quickly, I'm a big United States men's national team fan. Sullivan had a busy week last week. That's Quinn Sullivan, the young 21-year-old who is a current right midi for Philadelphia. He got the call up to the U.S. men's national team, and he did this against one of the better teams on this side of the continent and arguably the best player ever.
And it's a short corner. Left side of the box, and what a shot and a goal! Right foot curler. Left side of the area and inside the far post. magnificent Philadelphia Union goal. And Ustari, flat-footed, did not stand a chance. In the 8th minute, Philadelphia Union strikes Inter Miami. And the sieve for the Inter Miami defense is turned into a dam break. They cannot stop conceding. 1-0 Philadelphia Union on a gorgeous, gorgeous shot. There was no defending it. And it's Quinn Sullivan. What a week he has had. Named to his first UN men's national team roster, and he scores an absolute golazo to make it 1-0, minute number 7. Philadelphia Union with the lead.
It was a finesse top right corner to break the play down a little more. It was a short corner, and Sullivan received it in the box. Like, folks, it's unheard of to not mark a short corner man at least to the halfway point. How these short corners usually work. The player who is receiving the short corner goes damn near to where the corner kick is being taken, followed by the defender. The defender probably sits 5 to 10 yards off of the ball as the taker of the ball from the corner, the short corner man, receives it. Nobody followed the short corner man to the point where Quinn Sullivan went to go take the short corner, realized no Inter Miami player was marking him. He received it in the box. That's an ultimate no-no. You do not want a corner kick to be allowed to be played in the middle of your box. If you're taking a short corner, you force it to the quote-unquote corner. Sullivan received this in the box, was able to switch from his left foot to his dominant right foot, and he finessed it. Ken calls it a curler. I call it a finesse. He finessed it, top right corner, and as Ken said, an absolute golazo to open things up for Philadelphia. That happened in the 7th minute, and once again, Inter Miami conceding in the first half. Now, sadly, that wasn't the only goal that happened in the first half. We'll get to more highlights here. Excuse me, we'll get to the second goal highlight here in just a second. Got a couple more to play here on Messi Mania presented by our good friends at PNC. That Quinn Sullivan goal was assisted by Kai Wagner. Let's hear an almost near goal for Philadelphia's Glesnes, who almost got his head on the other end.
Here's a set piece free kick, and it nearly found Glesnes, who got behind the defense into the 6-yard box. A beautiful set piece from Kai Wagner from about 30 yards away. And it went off of Glesnes' forehead, but he could not direct it on goal, and that was a near miss from Philadelphia.
Kai Wagner all over the pitch in that first half for Philadelphia. He assisted that Quinn Sullivan goal, as I mentioned already, and he almost assisted another goal on the Glesnes possible header goal that ultimately did not work out for Philadelphia, and thankfully for our Herons. I mentioned that not a lot went right for Inter Miami in the first half. Let's listen to Lionel Messi's first shot on target in the 33rd minute, and it was the first shot on target for Inter Miami in the first half, 33rd minute.
Came from 23 yards out with a left foot from Messi. It went through the legs of Owechu Makanya, but Rick was able to do a good job and see it into his chest.
Veselev would pick up a yellow card in the 41st. Ian Frey would pick up a yellow card in the 42nd. But right before halftime, the poacher, Ty Baribo, the leading goal scorer in the MLS, picks up another goal in the first half. Let's take a listen.
Now Vasilev, left side of the box, headed it into the middle, and then Lujan's late to get there. Here's Baribo, scored! That is unacceptable from the Inter Miami defense. Hesitation, and Baribo has his 12th goal of the year. It's 2-0, Philadelphia Union. The defensive dysfunction is killing this football team.
And Ken's right on it. 2 goals surrendered in the first half, arguably on Inter Miami. I broke down that Quinn Sullivan goal for you. It is an absolute no-no to be able to do a grounder pass from the corner into the box, have someone change to their dominant foot enough time to get a shot off. That's unacceptable, and in my opinion, on the defense. And then that goal right there, to Ken's point, absolutely unacceptable to let Ty Baribo, a poacher at heart, a poacher striker, get on the other end of a 50-50 ball that should have been cleared 3 different times out of the defense. So Inter Miami goes into the half down 2-0. As you can imagine, we were doomsday on the broadcast, but Tadio Allende got our hopes up in the first half. This is Allende in the 60th minute, coming in hot in the second half, 60th minute. Tadio Allende making the scoreline 2-1.
Sweeps it left of the area. Noah Allen. His speed into the box. And a goal! Tadio Allende unmarked on a beautiful feed from Allen. And Allende's pulled one back. He's able to blast it by Rick with a soaring tally. Inter Miami within 1. It's 2-1. And it's game on at the hour mark.
Game on indeed, but I mentioned Inter Miami won the second half. It didn't come without any boo-boos. Here's Ty Baribo, the Golden Boot man, again.
It's still pinballing around in the box, and it somehow fell to Baribo, who has scored short range near post. Slots it in past Ustari. Another defensive disaster for Inter Miami. And it's 3-1 Philadelphia, and that's likely going to do it in the 73rd minute.
So it did not do it, as Ken was alluding to. But listen, we all thought it was over. To Ken's point, 3-1, 73rd minute. Certainly doomsdaying on my end as well. And this is why I don't blame Ken, because you ready for this stat? The game against Philadelphia, where Inter Miami drew 3-3, was the first time in club history that Inter Miami overcame a 2-goal deficit in the 85th minute or later. Lionel Messi would score a cracker of a goal off of a free kick in the 87th minute. Here's how it sounded.
Here's a free kick from Lionel Messi. This comes from 23 yards. Straight on, direct free kick. Messi approaches, and he scores! Upper left! Messi planted it! A signature free kick goal for Lionel Messi. Inter Miami back within 1 with 4 minutes left to go. Messi, 6th of the year, and vintage magic from the greatest of all time.
The magic wasn't over. Here's a highlight of Fafa Pico almost tying this thing up late.
Low cross! Pico is there, but he was tackled off the ball at the last moment. It was nearly level. Desperate defending. Keeps it 3-2 Philadelphia.
But then at the death, 95th minute, there were 5 minutes of extra time. Talasco Segovia scores at the last possible chance of the game for Inter Miami.
And it's won by Alba. Messi to Pico. Back to Messi. Messi nutmegs a man to Segovia. Segovia, right foot scored from the top of the box. Talasco Segovia has drawn us level 3-3 with a minute left to play. Inter Miami on the verge of stealing a point on the road. What guts! What fortitude from Inter Miami! They put on pressure and more pressure, and it pays off. And Segovia's drawn us level 3-3. Absolutely incredible.
As I mentioned, the first time in club history that Inter Miami overcame a 2-goal deficit in the 85th minute or later. Obviously, weren't able to get all 3 points. But listen, a draw on the road to the top team in the Eastern Conference in Philadelphia, pretty doggone good. And I know Javier Mascherano has received a lot of critics. They've been receiving a lot of backlash from critics, fans, pundits, the whole 9 yards. But that was, to Ken's point, very, very gutsy to come back in the 85th minute to score 2 goals in 10 minutes. Obviously, the second goal came 95th minute at the death in extra time, but it took a lot of guts. And give credit to Javier Mascherano and this Inter Miami side. This wasn't a clean game, though. A lot of yellow cards. I went through the first half of yellow cards, Veseliv for Philadelphia, Ian Frey for our Herons, Jesus Bueno in the 75th minute for Philadelphia, Jordi Alba a minute later for the Herons, Jacob Glesnes in the 86th minute, Federico Redondo in the 90th minute, and then Danley Jean-Jacques in the 90th minute for Philadelphia. So in total, 6 cards in the game, and 7 cards on the game for for Philadelphia, 3 for Inter Miami. But 3-3, the final. 3-3, the final in Philadelphia. A gutsy performance by Inter Miami secures Inter Miami a point on that MLS table. We got Montreal coming up tonight for our Inter Miami Herons. That is going to be at Chase Stadium. We'll break that down coming up in the pregame show at 7 o'clock. But I have an idea who I think I'm going to see in this starting 11. But I want to talk a little bit more about this game in Philadelphia. Folks, I don't know if Javier Mascherano is the gaffer of this team if they were to lose like 2-0, 3-1 in this game like how we thought. Inter Miami has not played well in their last couple of fixtures. They are winless, in fact, in their last 5 matchups. They have, after tonight, so actually let's say counting tonight, Inter Miami has 2 games left on their MLS schedule before they play in that Club FIFA World Cup coming up June 14th. So there's going to be a big break of MLS action for the Herons after Saturday. So 2 games in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 games in 4 days. You got tonight against Montreal, and then on Saturday at Chase Stadium 2, Columbus Crew. And the Crew, a top team in the Eastern Conference, a good team in the Eastern Conference. The Herons barely got out of Cleveland at Brown Stadium unscathed in that game, about a month and a half back. But 2 games in 4 days, Montreal and Columbus, and then the Club FIFA World Cup, June 14th. It is critical for this team to play well heading into that tournament, to take any type of gas, steam, whatever you want to call it, into the biggest tournament Inter Miami is going to be playing in this season. Al Ali, a really good Egyptian side. That's who they open up with June 14th. FC Porto was in Europa League this year, Champions League 2 years ago, a top flight team in Portugal. Portugal has a really, really good top flight league. Cristiano Ronaldo started off there at Sporting before he went to Manchester United. A ton of quality has come out of Portugal. Obviously, you got a great national team and whatever, but that league specifically is a pretty good league, a top 5 league in the world. Porto, a good team. Palmeiras, a good team as well. So if Inter Miami, if they're not ready, folks, this could get really ugly for our Herons in the Club FIFA World Cup. But I'm holding out faith that Inter Miami is going to finish strong against Montreal. They're going to finish strong against Columbus, and they're going to roll into that tournament ready to roll and ready to rock. Let's take a look at a couple of hot, and I almost call it a hot hand. I'm used to my basketball over here. But let's take a look at a couple of players for Inter Miami that have been playing well. If we look at the MLS statistics, obviously it's not a surprise that Lionel Messi leads Inter Miami in goals. Messi has 6 goals on the year and leads Inter Miami with a total of 8 goal and assist contributions. You know, there's a statistic when you add both of those categories up. Lionel Messi leads the Herons with 8 goal and assist contributions. But right behind him is Luis Suarez. Suarez, who actually is tied with Lionel Messi. Messi is number 1 because he played more games. But Luis Suarez, 6 assists and 2 goals. That is 8 apiece for Messi and Suarez. And then Telesco Segovia has 6 total goal and assist contributions as well. But your top scorers, Lionel Messi with 6, Tadio Allende with 5, Telesco Segovia with 4. And obviously Segovia scored this cracker of a goal to secure Inter Miami a point on the road.
And it's won by Alba. Messi to Pico. Back to Messi. Messi nutmegs a man to Segovia. Segovia, right foot scored from the top of the box. Telesco Segovia has drawn us level 3-3 with a minute left to play. Inter Miami on the verge of stealing a point on the road. What guts! What fortitude from Inter Miami! They put on pressure and more pressure, and it pays off. And Segovia's drawn us level 3-3. Absolutely incredible.
So Segovia securing his 4th goal of the year. He is number 3 on the total goal list within the MLS as an Inter Miami Heron. So Messi, Allende, Segovia. Those are your top 3 scorers on the team. Luis Suarez, 2 goals. So that's kind of how things pan out. Inter Miami been struggling to score goals the last couple of fixtures, and let's hope that changes tonight as they take on Montreal. As far as assist leader, Luis Suarez has 6 total assists on the season. Pretty good. Jordi Alba, number 2, with 4. As far as the MLS, I mentioned Ty Baribo for Philadelphia. He is currently the leader for the Golden Boot right now. He has 13 goals, followed by Brian White for Vancouver, who has 10, and then Christian Arango as well, a San Jose player, has 9. So 1 Eastern Conference man and 2 Western Conference men at the top of the Golden Boot list right now. As far as assists leader in the MLS, you got Pep Biel, who Inter Miami saw earlier this season. Inter Miami able to get a win against Charlotte at Chase Stadium down to 10 men. So pretty gutsy win by Inter Miami there, and certainly Charlotte, a team who has a lot of quality with Pep Biel, who has 7 assists on the year, but also Wilfried Zaha, former Manchester United player, former Crystal Palace player. Quality for sure on that Charlotte team. Christian Espinoza has 6 assists, San Jose, and that's a common theme, man. San Jose likes to score. They got a lot of goal and assist contributions. San Jose with 6, Christian Arango with 9 goals. So 15 total goal contributions between those 2 San Jose Earthquakes, between the top goal scorer in Arango, one of the top goal scorers in Arango, and one of the top assist men in Christian Espinoza. Ty Baribo, obviously, folks, when you have 13 goals in about 15 weeks, you're going to be number 1 in goal and assists. Baribo with 14, though, not much of a passer. I mentioned he is a poacher. A poacher striker, folks, is a striker who stays up on the pitch and tries to get a foot on the end of it, kind of like a Erling Haaland kind of player. If you're familiar with the Premier League in Manchester City, not going to be doing much of dicing defenders. But once his foot gets on that ball, he's going to blast it behind net. Not surprising to see him number 1 on goals and assist contributions in the MLS. Andres Dreyer, number 2 with 12 from San Diego. And then a man we know well, Martin Ojeda for Orlando City. 2 fixtures ago, Orlando City came to Chase Stadium in the Florida Derby, and they were able to win 3-0. Certainly a lot of soul-searching after that game for our Herons, but Inter Miami able to respond in a good way last fixture, picking up a draw against a really good Philadelphia side on the road, and that is one of the last times they'll see Philadelphia on the year. They've played them twice already, beat them in Miami and Fort Lauderdale at home, and then drew on the road. So good results against Philadelphia. Problem is, they have not been getting those kind of results against Western Conference teams. Let's take a look back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to make sure it's the last 10, 8, 9, 10. Indeed, it is. So let's go through the last 10 fixtures for the Herons. Let's go all the way back to April 13th. It was a draw against Chicago, 0-0. April 19th. Inter Miami won against Columbus 1-0, followed by the CONCACAF Champions Cup losing on the road to Vancouver 2-0. They followed that up with a 4-3 loss to Dallas at home, and they were up 3-1 in that game. If you remember, Javier Mascherano pulled his starters to save their legs for a home fixture against Vancouver, down 2-0 on the aggregate, bit him in the butt, and then they followed with a 3-1 loss in Fort Lauderdale, knocked out of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And for those of you who don't know what the CONCACAF Champions Cup is, but you do know world football, it's the Champions League on this side of the hemisphere. It's the most important tournament this side of the hemisphere, meaning all of the best teams in North America and the CONCACAF play each other. So, Canada, the United States, Central America, all those teams come together, the Caribbean, all those teams come together in a tournament and play. Usually it's the Mexican teams and the American teams that do well, but this year Vancouver knocked off our Inter Miami. It's obviously Vancouver part of the MLS, neither here nor there, but still considered a Canadian team. Vancouver knocked off the Herons 3-1 in that. So, folks, draw, win, and then 3 straight losses. That is not a good 5 games for the Herons. Moving on to the next 5. Inter Miami, it was able to pick up a win 4-1 against New York Red Bulls. followed by a 4-1 loss against Minnesota United on the road. Probably the worst game Inter Miami played all year. They followed up with a draw against San Jose. San Jose, the Earthquakes, a team who likes to score, completely fine with that result. And then an embarrassing 3-0 loss against Orlando City and a 3-3 draw against Philadelphia. But in their last 10 games, we went through their last 10. There are 2 wins on that on the scorecard. 2 wins in their last 10. Not good enough. Javier Mascherano understands that. Lionel Messi understands it. And I think a team as a whole, they understand that 2 wins with the quality they have, with the expectations that were set from the board before the season, this is unacceptable for the Inter Miami Herons, and I expect a big, big game against Montreal, a team who has 8 points on the MLS table. Both teams are winless in their last 5 games. Let me say that again. Both teams are winless in their last 5 games. Tonight's meeting will be the 11th between the teams in Montreal and Inter Miami. In all, Inter Miami has recorded 3 wins, 6 losses, and a draw in its past matches against the Canadian side. Last time out, Inter Miami claimed all 3 points on the road in a 3-2 triumphant win in 2024 MLS regular season action last May. So almost 365 days ago, Inter Miami was able to pick up victory against Montreal. And recently, Inter Miami has been able to dominate this matchup, beating Montreal the last 2 times they have played. But both of these teams are winless in their last 5. Yes, as I mentioned, Montreal visits South Florida after most recently drawing 2-2 against LAFC on Saturday in their past fixture. In all, Montreal have recorded 8 points. 8 points, 1 win, 9 losses, and 5 draws. That equals 8 with the 5 draws and the 3 points for their solo win, and currently sits in 15th place. So certainly a lot of storylines heading into this game tonight in South Florida. I mentioned that Messi Mania is brought to you by our good friends at PNC. And what more Messi Mania could we want from a goal like this from the great one?
Here's a free kick from Lionel Messi. This comes from 23 yards. Straight on, direct free kick. Messi approaches, and he scores! Upper left! Messi planted it! A signature free kick goal for Lionel Messi. Inter Miami back within 1 with 4 minutes left to go. Messi, 6th of the year, and vintage magic from the greatest of all time.
I mentioned Messi Mania brought to you by PNC. Folks, putting one behind the keeper takes more than talent. Sure, the pros make it look easy, but there's a whole lot of boring work behind it. Hours of drills, scrimmages, and dedication to the craft that ultimately pays off in a brilliant goal-scoring move. PNC Bank knows, and they know that. They know it takes time to not only be good on the pitch, but also save money. And money, that's the important thing when it comes to PNC, and that's why they take a smart, steady, and boring approach. So you can make brilliant money moves that help you score your own financial goals. And PNC Bank makes it easy and convenient to manage your money when and where it works for you, including with new branch locations opening across Miami. So you don't got to go far to go see our good friends at PNC. See how keeping your money boring can be the brilliant move for you. Visit PNCBank.com/brilliantlyboring. That's PNC.com/brilliantlyboring. PNC Bank, proud banking sponsor of Inter Miami CF radio broadcasts and Brilliantly Boring since 1865. The PNC Financial Services Group, Incorporated. All rights reserved. Member FDIC. Time to take our first time out of the program. This is Pink Smoke right here on ESPN 106.3. We're taking you up to 7 o'clock, but don't go anywhere because from 7 to about 7:37, I will have the pregame show right here on your Inter Miami radio network.
Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath, proudly representing the residents of South Florida since 1985, and proud supporter of Inter Miami on ESPN West Palm. Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath has attorneys across South Florida ready to fight for your rights. They've recovered billions for their clients, and you won't pay anything unless you win your case. If you have been been injured, call the attorneys at Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath, 561-867-4117, or online at foryourrights.com. Main office in West Palm Beach.
Mike Rizzo here with the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management program. The Knicks coming back in Game 3, I think, was one of the best things that could happen for the NBA because there have certainly been some really good ratings in the playoffs so far within the NBA, specifically with that Game 3. 6.6 million people watched that New York Knicks Indiana Pacer Game 3 in Indiana.